talk about things like Atlanta or Snowfall is like my favorite show of all time. We want to talk about doing things that are authentic, but at the same time represent it in a different, not weirder sense, but capturing the essence of what that feels like. Okay, I've seen this or I've seen this before, authentically. I think that's the type of stuff that I kind of gravitate more towards if we want to talk about filmmaking wise. Because if you see Snowfall, if you watch Snowfall, people don't realize is that the different things that you see on that screen are different ways you're capturing what actually happened. And the gritty realism aspect. And on Atlanta, you have, even though it's weird, the weird things are going on. These are surrealism. These are things that you're not used to seeing on screen in the way that they're doing it. So I want to do dope stuff as far as that inspires change, at the same time as doing it in a way that really hasn't been done before. With my TV series, like you want to talk relevant things.
What's the name of the TV series?
Mad City. So it stands for mutually assured destruction. Because we destruct ourselves, and there's a lot of gateway into that. As far as a lot of things that we can go into, if we want to talk about what's the things that you can do right now. Where I don't know if you saw. Have you watched Snowfall?
I've seen some of it.
Yeah. So Lynn Bias.
I don't know Lynn Bias.
Lynn Bias is.
He's the basketball player
player who died from crack cocaine. She
OD.
died from crack cocaine. So in the beginning of season 5, in episode 1. They showed at the beginning like a 4-minute scene of what actually happened to Lynn Bias and how he overdosed from crack cocaine. So a show about crack cocaine covering something that's not towards the main characters in the opening scene of season 5. That reality of realism in Atlanta, they did it with multiple episodes being about different topics than the main characters. In that reality. So Mad City leans towards me being able to do stuff like that in the opening sequence towards real stories, that reality that has happened before. And gentrification, the reality of what it's like for a black man to go into a white world in inequality. You know what I'm saying? So my series really tackles those things. So I really want to be able to capture that. And we can't talk about Sinners right now, but Coogler did an amazing job at doing.
Well, he's nothing but net on everything.
Yeah,
he's nothing but net on everything.
Just everything.
Yeah.
He broke some frames where a lot of people, when you think about the power that Warner Brothers, a big box brand, gave him to tackle not only things that we all know, but to do it cinematically, where you're like, wow, in this political climate we're in, this man was able to use that power. Because if you don't use the power you're given, man, there's no power. And he did it, and he stepped out, man. And I've, we just cinematically, I've never seen somebody attack racism, hate in that way.
Yeah.
Misha Green does her job too. Like, have you ever seen any of stuff like Underground? Have you seen like the Jonathan Major TV show and stuff like that?
Who?
There's some interesting.
But what he was talking about, this Lynn Bias thing, which was crazy, is that this guy, if you don't know anything about that story, man, this cat may have been better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And the day after he was drafted, he was like, he OD'd at a party. His family gave him a party. He was like, Michael Jordan actually has ever said he was better than me. And this guy, on the day after he was drafted, the night of the party to celebrate, gone. Boston Celtics. I know nobody's ever done a treatment on it, but literally it just shows that there's some taboo and some things that people really, they don't want us to know how destructive we are to ourselves. And cinematically, if you put that out there, man, it would get people to feel a certain way about change.
Yeah.
So I think they want to keep a lot of this stuff away from us so we continue to be young and dumb. That's my thought.
You're not doing those and having the risk to be like, okay, we're gonna do this, even though it's gonna be controversial. We're gonna create conversations. We're going to go out on a limb and do cinematic risks that often you want to be able to see on the screen. And that's the type of thing that we're talking about. So using the networks, like we're talking about you. Now that I know you, me, I'm a part of this internship that allows me to shoot a trailer. I'm expanding off of my proof of concept this summer. If I can, use you like as far as guidance or help or like being on the set or helping me in any way, I'd appreciate that. So that's just what I'm talking about.
Man, that's dope, bro. That's actually
congratulations, man.
Yeah.
If you want any help when it comes to screenwriting, I'd love
Yeah. Now, on your TV show, you plan on writing too?
Yes, I have a full pilot written. I have a pitch deck. I have a proof of concept. I have everything.
And I want him to share some of the things I found out about him. You know, he tell him about the program you're going to New York and how that happened and what you plan on doing with that.
I plan on. So there's this organization named Venice Arts. So they gave me the opportunity to create my proof of concept and do a screening for it. So once I was done with the internship that I had for them, basically what happened was they connected us to NBC. Some students, I was one of the only students that got an opportunity to be connected with this creative lab that I'm doing for them now. And through that June 9th through 11th, I got a chance to go to New York, full flying out. They fly me out. I'm staying by Rockefeller Plaza. And for my first business trip that I ever had the opportunity to do, me just being a kid from South Central now to this, you know what I'm saying, to where I could be able to work on this public announcement for them. And then also have opportunities to meet different people that I never thought I'd be able to meet. So, you know, it's just different things like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, just trying to be inspired.
Yeah, you got and he's got a script. He's got a 60-page script for this thing. And again, you know,
That's for the pilot. You're doing a TV show, right?
yeah. So he's definitely somebody that I want to celebrate, and I want to see if we can all learn from him at this stage of his development. What we can do to get everybody to that level, to start, you know, really figuring out how to pitch, and more importantly, how to win. Pitching is nothing without winning.
Yeah, and it's access, and it's being able to have either the team to get you the meetings to pitch, or it's access too.
Yeah, that's with shit starting that, right? That reality. That's the type of thing I want to be that reality. So, you know, it's just all about that.
And we were looking for Get the Girls, and he pulled up another Get the Girls that.
So there's
with
one,
Orion Pictures.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, hold on.
so you gotta look up Get the Girl 2023.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, normally they were supposed to use all of my. This is another thing I find out. They were supposed to use all of my artwork.
Yeah.
And they ended up not using it in some places, but on Tubi, it's 2023. But, there's a reason why.
How many of you guys have seen even the trailer for his movie? So you guys have no idea who you're talking to, and that's my fault, because I almost have to make it mandatory for you guys to understand that everybody that has any access to these rooms has a story that shows that they've either been through the fire. They may not have, escaped without any burns, but they've been through it. They're not just concept people, and they're not just folks who, talking heads. So that's, and I'm hoping that we learn from him, but I hope he can learn something from you guys too.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm here to learn. There's certain perspectives that I personally don't have that I'm trying to get from y'all. I don't have, growing up in this day and age, I don't have that viewpoint. So when it comes to writing, in order for it not to sound like a 43-year-old man, I need to be touching different lives. I need to be involved and actively helping out. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
And just to pivot off of that, it's why can't 18-year-old go into a situation and, like my case, tell different stories? Nowadays, if we're talking about a 4-year-old, 50-year-old man, often they're writing younger stories. But us actually understanding what it's like to go into community and do different things from young and old perspective, being able to gauge that interest, that reality is real. So we want to be able to say, oh, we do deserve this opportunity, and what does that look like? I do deserve opportunity. I'm creating a content house. You know what I'm saying? I'm creating that so I can have the avenue for myself to be able to get on the same level as these people, put myself in those rooms. You know what I'm saying? So I'm inspired by creators like him, creators like you, so because it's I'm in a space of winners. And that's the reality of what we want to surround ourselves.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think it's
Right. And one last thing, how many people knew about the Kevin Hart $10,000 micro grant and the AI program he had attached to it? Raise your hand. Anybody know about that? Yeah. So I thought I told you about that. You didn't.
No, you didn't tell me about the grant. You told me about the space. You told me about
Okay. Well, let me tell you. I found out about a couple of weeks ago, but in Fortune or Fast Company magazine, it came out last Sunday. But the deadline is already passed. But what it starts to do for me is realize that this man put up, quite a bit of money to give people a chance to submit for qualification, a $10,000 micro grant that really is available for people who have a business, an LLC or some type of business, not industry specific. You don't have to have a film company. It could be a lemonade stand, but anybody who has a business, he put up the money to essentially give people to give their chance to pitch, to get one of these grants, and then also the AI consultation to make sure that the $10,000 becomes something that connects to his venture fund. He's got a huge $600 million venture fund that this is going to track people who go through the grant process, through the AI, to help them start, really getting potentially connected to that venture fund.
Because he wants to do a slate, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but the thing that I want you guys to know is that a lot of the stuff that's happening, he does very silently and very quietly. As a matter of fact, last week he was at Inglewood High School. Yeah, he showed up, man. I mean, 2 days before, it was on a Thursday, last Thursday. He just came, and because it's Financial Literacy Week, and J.P. Morgan Chase is one of his sponsors, and he just showed up out of nowhere. The administrators, the school administrators knew, but he showed up and just, popped up. So there's a lot of people that we're connected with who don't publicize what they're doing and how they're doing it. So we have to take advantage and be proud of the fact that we're affiliated with this stuff. So when we finally do get into and I'm going to send everybody the Zoom meeting we had this Friday that really featured the guy that nobody's actually ever seen. I don't think anybody in this room has ever seen my partner, who's the head of studio operations at Heartbeat. But it really will make you guys, I think, a little bit more prideful that we're affiliated with something that's really not only giving back, but giving forward to the community. So, we're not just using a name or a brand. We got a chance to individually take a pound of flesh from this thing, make, a brand for yourself. And, if you want to give back, then fine, but that's not required for anybody here to do anything for anybody but build your success. So that's what I'm hoping that everybody can think about, because you can't take care of anybody unless you take care of yourself.
There's
Okay?
a lot of power in this room. There's a lot of power in this room. I already feel like there's a lot of energy. Like, I've been in the trenches with you, been in the trenches with you, and I can only imagine if you're here with him, then there's something exceptional in both of y'all. Because we here on a Sunday. Getting it in. Yeah. Because it's like, so I'm honestly, like, I've always took the position of I never want to underestimate the value of an individual, because there are some great people who run across every day, and you might not even look twice at them. I mean, the first time I heard Ariana Grande sing was live, in person. This close. We were doing Sammy Cat. Now, mind you, I thought she was just an actress, and she was doing Sammy Cat, and I heard her sing. I was like, "You sound like Monica." She's like, "Who's Monica?" I was like, "Jesus, you were young." But that being said, this is before any of the music was out. Just heard her sing. I was like, "That girl can sing."
Man.
And then the first single drops. I'm like, "Oh, she can sing." And then the album drops, and we're like, "Oh." And many years later, now it's like, bro, like she's a singer. Like I came up singing. Like, in order to understand how well she can sing, you have to sing. Like Brian McKnight. You probably know who Brian McKnight is. Like, in order to understand how good those guys are, you have to sing. Because they're doing stuff.
You gotta sing.
Breath control, like they're doing some different shit. So it's just like, all that being said, I think I'm glad that we're all meeting. I'm glad we're all finishing. We're all feeling each other's energy. And I know there's a lot of things we won't be able to get to today. But what I do want to do is I want to link in with y'all right now, make myself available. Like, you have me 26 hours a day. Day and night. If there's something, you have a question, you need some help on something, you want to just shoot something. If I'm not on set and on time, I'm there. Because I'm just committed to building. And like I said, anybody who's committed enough to come out on a Sunday and build, I'm like, there's power there.
Man.
There's power. There's power in what you're doing. There's power.
Right. And one more thing, man. I met this man, one of the people who got a laptop at Kevin Hart's facility. You got a laptop? Anybody else you get a laptop? Okay, so 2 people got laptops, from our program. But we had a program where I met him, where he brought his little cousin to get a laptop, and this lady named Insada.
Oh yeah.
Insada, yeah. So I met him at the same time where we're giving out him a laptop. Insada got a laptop, but she said, "Hey, I need you to hook up with this guy because he's doing this film festival." It was a thing called the Iron Crew Battle or whatever, but it was a thing where he spent his own money and he did a film competition. That all I could tell you is that the people that were competing for the grand prize were all there to develop their brands and showcase their film to masters in the martial arts. What was the genre really?
So it was mainly it was a short form film festival for anything that was action related. So if you did content creating, if you had a short film, it was pretty much a short form film competition. And what I did was since I started off as a stuntman, I knew some very big second unit directors and stunt coordinators, people who do the biggest films in the world. Like I did Daredevil, Batman versus Superman, as well as Superman coming out. Like a lot of those coordinators were here, and essentially a lot of those stunt people want to get on the radar. They had film that they made, they all created stuff, and then they put them up. So I had like a big old wrestling match on the end. So it was just like, it was a very fun film festival, and the grand prize got like this championship belt that I had made. But it was essentially a showcase for them to show their work to some of the biggest names in action in the world. And
that's dope.
Yeah. So
right, and the people who were first, second, and third place were they all stunt choreographers
so
before?
They were. I would say towards the ends, like once we started getting like Marvel people submitting, then the competition went woof. Because a lot of the performers, like I said, they work on the biggest stuff in the world, but they're always sharpening their skills by making stuff. Normally, like stunts are one of the few jobs where this is like you are hired strictly on word of mouth. If a coordinator is like, okay, I need somebody who's 5'2" that can to park on something to double this actor, they're gonna ask the coordinators and stuff like that. Or if there's somebody who they don't have in their book, or for something super specific, it's just like they're gonna hire who comes highly recommended. So a way for you to get on, if you're a stunt person, a way for you to get on a lot of people's radars, you go out, you do pre-visits, you go out, you hustle, and essentially you meet coordinators, and those are the people who the production hires. Like, okay, I have this huge action sequence, blah, 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 and the coordinators will go through it and be like, okay, we can make it happen this, and then they hire the guys to make the scene happen. So essentially a lot of those times that they're trying to work, they're always sharpening the tools. They're always making previous stuff, because the progression is you want to go from a stunt person to a choreographer, then maybe a coordinator to the executive director.
That's pretty simple.
Right, and all these people, and check this out. So all those people went through those processes to get to the pinnacles of what they were doing, but they said, hey, I want to go another step. I now want to be the writer, director, producer of my own content. And that's when I started to realize the genius of what he did is to give these people a chance to be the masters of everything in their ecosystem, to bring all these characters and all this screenwriting to play, develop these characters. As a matter of fact, the judges said that the people who won were the ones who developed the characters. Because instead of these people flying around and doing some of the scenes that I've never even seen before in any stunt or martial arts movies, they developed the characters in a short piece. Yeah. And it was amazing to see these people accept these awards by saying, hey, yeah, I just came to LA to be a stunt coordinator, but I realized I had a story. Mm-hmm. And so most people, have stories, but how do they put them in the format? How to develop the characters so that people care about, what it is you're doing. I don't think that a lot of people understand that process. because it's not just about the story. It's not about, it's all of it. And so, this is when I saw this man's magic. And, I think what's going to happen Wednesday, I hope to see some more movie magic with him, testing out his vision of a comedy show. But us being part of that comedy show vision is what I want to be able to have, almost like a postcast, not a podcast, about what it is that we saw, what it is that we heard during the event, and then a little bit afterwards, so we catch it fresh. And we can actually say, hey, this is what we achieved. Or didn't. And be real about it.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I'm going to stop recording and see if you guys can figure out